Hey there everybody, and welcome back to the next video in the updated How to Create a Social or Sharing App playlist. In today's video, this is part 3 of wrapping up this board page here. So imagine this to be similar to like a chat room or messaging board or something like that. So this is part 3 because this is a relatively complex topic and takes a good bit of time, so I wanted to break it up into a couple of videos. Now, if you're just now logging into this series, this is an updated series, so we have officially created everything in this navigation bar. We have different posts and topics, the ability to post. Now, today what we're wrapping up is this board page here. So what we've essentially done so far in the first part and second parts, we added this page and then we enabled users to actually access this page via this interface here. Now, we've already set it up to where we're able to post data, which was the last video. So when you go into the board, we now have the ability to post and update data here, but we don't have the ability to actually see the data. So we're going to go ahead and walk through that now. Now, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe and check out the channel for new content. Now, again, if this is starting to look a little bit complicated and you just want to get the final product into AppGyver, you can head over to codelessfix.com and purchase this application that's pre-built. You can import it into AppGyver, and basically you'll end up with the full completed app, and you can choose to make edits and do whatever you wish. There will be a little bit of setup as you'll have to connect it to your database, but it is a much simpler process. So for those of you that are sticking along for the ride, let's go ahead and get started. So we have set up the entire page here. The only thing left to do is the logic for page loadout or page layout. So when you're in board 1, you've set up everything. Click page layout and you can expand this logic menu. Now this is going to look a little intense, but we'll be able to break it down together and explain the flow because there is a lot of copy and paste. Now we're going to scroll all the way over, and the first thing, as we've done multiple times in the series, for page mounted, we're going to connect it to the get current user Firebase auth. Then we will connect the top node, and we're going to set app variable, the one that we already have, to the app variable temp profile URL. And as we've done previously, we'll choose the assigned value, output of another node, get current user, and we will scroll all the way down to UID. Then we will scroll over and use the get record option, which we've set up in previous videos. We will get the record profile details, and we will get the ID, and we will bind this to a formula, and it's literally just going to be the app variable temp profile URL. So you can click formula and type this text in here as we have done previously and save it. Then the top node will connect to set page variable and set another page variable. Now in this case, you're going to need to add a page variable to your page called URL and then a page variable called new URL. Then you're going to connect to get record. So the input, it'll connect into get page or set page variable. Bind this to page variable URL. So you'll just select this from the list. And again, you can click this slider to add that variable if you need to. But we've been doing this so far, so you should be pretty aware of this process. Now the assigned variable is going to be the chat1 URL. So we'll click this button, output of another node, get record, and we'll find chat URL 1. And then we're going to set the page variable for new URL, and we'll assign this, and this is actually going to be the exact same thing. So we're just going to basically have the variable twice in case we need it. Output of another node, get record, and scroll down to chat1 stringValue. Now in this case, you can also set it as a formula to double check yours looks like mine, and it should show as outputs get record, record.fields.chat1.stringValue. Now, one thing that I want to note at this point, you may have already run across this, so I'm sorry if I haven't addressed it sooner, but one thing I want to note that is very important. When you copy and paste things like this in between pages and maybe even in between elements, if I were to copy this and paste it within the same page, you'll see that now all of a sudden this value looks a lot different. So if I click here and I want to view the formula for it, it's now broken. This previously would say something like, we'll go and load the formula here. You'll see in parentheses or in quotes here, it would normally say get record. But in this case, it says this right here. It basically has a bunch of random values. This is because when you're copying it, for some reason, instead of saying get record, it's just tied to maybe the old component or something like that. So when you copy and paste anything using get record, make sure that your set values or set variables are set correctly. So the better way to describe this is, as you're moving through copying anything that uses the output of another node, you will need to go and reselect the actual output. So if it helps, when you copy and paste, if we copied and pasted this right here to another page in the app, you would need to go in, this will copy over, but since we're using the output of another node, we would need to go reselect the UID from the output like we did up here. And because this uses the output of get record, we now would need to go, because we copied and pasted, and reselect stringValue1 and reselect stringValue1. So I just wanted to add that little bit there. If you're going through troubleshooting and noticing some issues, that has caught me a couple times, or I've run into that a few times. So let's go ahead and jump back in. So you've set new URL to the output, basically the same chat1 as the one above, but it's the new URL page variable. Then the output of this one is going to be connected here to a new set app variable. And this app variable we've used before, so you're gonna set the app variable username, and we're going to get record, and we are going to, you'll notice this is actually the get record, and we're getting the profile username from the user. So basically, we're just making sure that we actually have those profile details. So this is pulling from the profile details for that user. And then we're going to connect this and go over here and do get record. Now, in this case, you should have already set up board 1 in the last video or the video before that. So you're going to use another get record, and you're going to tie it to board 1, and you're going to make the ID the page variable for URL. Now, if you haven't already set this up, I'll walk through it really, really quickly. We have board 1, and in the last videos, we pasted in this URL, and then we pasted in really nothing here. But when you go to get record, you need to have the full URL, and because the base URL has chat1 in it, when we go to get, there's nothing that you need to type in the second field. So normally, this would be an additional, like if we have additional documents or anything else we need to look up, you'll put documents here, but when you run the test, you'll get values back. Now, when we go to get record, you'll see that we're going to have to add / and then ID in curly brackets. When we go to test, you can't run test because we need the ID. So if you need to test it so that you can save, you can go over here, click on a record in board 1, which means you may need to actually create a board first. And you can scroll through and find out, okay, chat1's right here. If you need one, you can find any of these. So, for example, secret here, we'll just type in secret. And what this is going to do is make the ID, the text, secret. So we'll click Run Test, and you'll see this is the data from board 1. So now you can set schema from response and save the app if you need to. And you'll need to do this, again, repeat that process exactly as we've just done now. You're going to need to repeat it for board 2 and board 3, and as many boards as you decide to have. So you may need to pause the video here if you haven't already. Make sure you have a board resource for each of these boards that you're about to make. Now, you're going to come back to this page. So at this point, we've gone through, we've set up the app variables, we've set the app variable username, which was the last thing that we did. And now we're going to go to get record. We're going to do get record board 1, which you'll just bind right here by selecting and choosing the data resource. And then the ID will just be the page variable, and you'll just find the page variable for URL. And then we are going to have the positive, or the top value is going to have 3 outputs, which are all going to look oddly similar. So the first output will be to a series of setting page variables. The second will be to another series of page variables. And then the third will be to a final series of page variables. So what you're going to do is the first series, just to show you, we have 10 set page variables. The second, we have 10 again. And then the third, we have 11. So what will probably be easier for you to do is, I'm just going to go to a blank area and show you an easier way to set this up. If you go to set page variable, you can just hit Control-Z, Control-V. And in this case, I've already selected some items up there, so we'll delete those. So we'll hit Control-C, Control-V, or copy and paste. And then you can paste in and click, and as you move your mouse, it'll allow you to paste more. Then you can actually highlight, copy, and paste, and select more, and then more. So what you need to do is go ahead up here in the blank space where I'm already working on your screen, and you're going to need to do what I just did. You're going to need to copy a column of 10, a column of 10, and a column of 10. And then add one more down here. So what I should say is a column of 10, a column of 10, and a column of 11. And then in this case, we are going to connect we're going to connect it in order just like this. The first one connects to the second to the third to the fourth, and so on. And then you'll do that for this one as well. They do not connect to each other. They just connect to the variables in their own column. So you'll repeat this exact same process here. And what it's going to end up looking like when you are done, and you can highlight all by clicking and dragging over to move them if it helps, to move them in bulk. But what it's going to end up looking like is this right here. I have my column of 10 right here, and you'll see each one connects to the next one, and then the last one connects to nothing. I have my next row of 10, and you have each one connecting to the next one, so the output goes to the input of the next, and you'll see it goes all the way down. And then you'll see I have my row of 11 here. The output of each connects to the input of the next one. And that is for 11 of these set page variables. And then you're going to choose in this get record, you're going to have 3 outputs. You're going to connect it to the first variable for the first column. You're then going to connect it to the first variable in the second column, just like I've done here. And then you're going to connect it to the first one in the third column. What this means is when we do this get record, it's going to set this page variable, then this one, then this one, then this one. It's going to set this one, then this one, then this one, etc. And it's going to do the same for the last column. Now we're going to go ahead and set the page variables. If you haven't already, you're going to need to go click this slider and add the following variables. We will be adding 31, but I promise it's quick. So you're going to need to add variables posted 1 through posted 10. So posted 1, posted 2, posted 3, all the way through 10. Then you're going to need to add variables 1 through 10. So variable 1, 2, 3, all the way through 10. And then you're going to add variables image 1 to 10. So image 1, 2, 3, all the way to 10. And then a page variable for current page image. So very simple process there. So to show you what this looks like here, we are going to click on our variables, and we'll go to page variables, and you're going to want to pause the video, but you'll see I have all of these variables here, posted 1 through 10, variable 1 through 10. I have a couple of extras. And then we have image 1 through 10, if you haven't already set that up. All right, so now we'll be able to wrap this up. So starting with the first column of variables, you're going to set posted1, and the output is going to be output of getRecord. So to make this quicker, I have it set up as a formula because it's easier to copy and paste. So what we're doing is the output of this getRecord, we're going to set posted1. So let's do this first one together for each column, and I'll show you how you can copy and paste it. So in this first one, we're setting variable posted1. The output, we're going to go to output of another node. You can choose getRecord. You'll see this first one is the correct one because it has all of our chats. And then we're setting posted1. Now, to make sure you don't get them confused, you need to make sure that you have posted1 is who it's posted by, and then the next one is going to be the chat. So for the first column, we'll use posted, which is who posts it. So posted1 on page load, we're going to set posted1 to, and then we're going to click here, output of another node, getRecord, and we're going to scroll through until we find posted by 1. So in this case, we have posted by 1 here, and we'll click stringValue and save. Now it's working. So what we can do is we can then click here and click formula, and you can highlight everything and click copy. So now we have it saved and it's setting it correctly. And then you can go to this one, and it's going to be posted2. And then down here in assigned value, you can go to the formula option. So you can click the square here, click formula, and if you delete everything here, you can paste in the text that we just copied. However, you need to change the number 1 to the number 2. This is only going to work if you're adding in Firebase everything the way that I am. So what I mean by that is, if you paste this in here, this will only work if your posted by field 2 is named the way that I've named mine. So this is the equivalent, just to make it make more sense. You have 2 different ways to do it. You can go to output of another node, go to getRecord, and find posted by 2. So we'll scroll through. You'll see we have to do a lot of scrolling. We have to find posted by 2 and choose the string value and save. You can do this for every one in this column if you prefer, but it's more time consuming. If you choose this button and choose formula, you'll see we have the same exact thing here. So if you know that posted by in Firebase, you're setting it as posted by 1, 2, 3, all the way through 10, then you can copy all of the text in this box and just go through, and the next one, choose posted 3, choose a formula, and paste in what you had previously, but change this to posted by 3. So what I'm saying here is, for the first column, each page variable, you're going to set page variable posted 1, the next one, page variable posted 2, the next one, posted 3, all the way down to page variable posted 10. Then you're going to go back through. For the first one, the value is going to be the output of another node, and you're going to do posted 1. And then in this one, output of another node, posted 2. And this one, output of another node, posted 3. You have 2 choices. You can either go in for each one, go to output of another node, getRecord, and find posted 1, posted 2, posted 3, posted 4, or you can copy the formula for each. It's entirely up to you. Now, I would recommend you pause the video and go through and do that. Next up, we're going to do the next column. So in this case, we have another 10 variables, so we're going to go through a little bit quicker now that we have a general idea of what we're doing. The first one, we're going to set variable 1, and that's the page variable, variable 1. Now go down your column. The second one, we're setting the page variable, variable 2. The next one, variable 3, and we're going all the way to variable 10. Once you've done that, we can start back at the top. The assigned value, so as you can see, we have posted by and we have image, which means this one is the chat content. So the assigned value, we'll click output of another node, get record, and we'll choose chat1 and save. The assigned value for option 2, you'll go to output of another node, get record, and then we'll choose chat2. And you're going to repeat that process for chat3 for all the way through chat10 down here. Again, if you prefer, you can type it out as a formula, copy and paste, and just paste in the chat number. Then we're going to wrap things up with image 1 through 10 and then the 11th image. So for this one, we're going to start with set page variable image 1, set page variable image 2, set page variable all the way down to image 10. And this one right here, we're going to set page variable for current page image. Then we're going to scroll to the top and actually choose the assigned value. I'm sure you guessed it. At this point, we'll choose output of another node, get record, and you're looking for your image. So we have image 1, string value, save. Then we're going to go to image 2. We'll choose output of another node, get record, and then we will choose image 2 and save. If you want, you can do that all the way down to image 10. You can type it out as a formula or assigned value, output of another node, get record, all the way down to image 10. And then the final one is set page variable current page image. So we're going to set current page image, and the output is actually going to be the page image option. So we'll choose this, output of another node, get record, and you're looking for not images 1 through 10, but page image, which is the page that you see in the board. And all of these are connected, so at the end, this is similar to what your logic should look like as we kind of scroll through. So that is everything for this board page. So at this point, everything should be working as expected, and you have wrapped up board 1 officially. So congrats on that. I know it's a painful process, but we're going to walk through how to make it a little bit easier for now. So since we've put everything in this single container here for board 1, what you can do if you want is you can put everything in this page in this single container. You can then copy this container, go up here, and I'll actually show you how to do this in real time. So we'll copy this by clicking it, hitting Control-C or copy. You can go add a new page and you can call it board 2, which I already have. So we'll call it board 2A. When you create your new page, you can click in the page and click paste or Control-V. In this case, you'll likely need to give it a couple of seconds, maybe a couple of minutes, and then it will eventually post in all of the content. Now, what you're going to need to do next for board 2 is you now, unfortunately, are going to have to go create page variables for each of these. The reason we're not using app variables is they're different between the pages for board 1, 2, and 3. So what you would need to do now is you need to go in and I'll move this up a bit because I've changed the color of the text. That's why it looks a little bit lighter. But what you'll need to do now, once you've copied it to the new page, is you'll save it to make sure you don't lose any progress. And then you're going to need to go back to literally the first video that I've made for this part, so part 1 of making a board. So this series is the entire Making a Social or Sharing App series, but there's a Making a Board which has part 1, part 2, and this video is part 3. So you can restart if you have any troubles creating board 2 or 3. But at this point, you're repeating everything we've already done. So the first step, now that you've pasted all of this content, is to go to your page variables, and you'll notice you have none because this is a new page. So you need to make a page variable for every variable that you had in the page for board 1. Otherwise, all of this data, for example, this content here, it says it's bound to variable 1, but we don't have page variables, so it's not actually. The good news is all of the work that you've already done, if you name all of the variables the exact same, then you will be able to just click this slider, click page variables, and if you add it and it's called variable 1. Now when we go back you'll see that this is tied to variable 1, and now the screen looks different because it exists. So as long as you copy this over first, you can now go in and make your variables for your page, which is variables 1 through 10. I believe it was image 1 through 10, and then posted 1 through 10. And then you have your current page image, your URL, and a couple of others. So all you need to do is remake all of your variables on this page. Then you're going to need to go to page layout, and you're going to need to copy over all of that functionality. So we'll do that really quick, and I'll kind of walk you through to get you started. So if we go to board 1, you remember all of this stuff that we kind of painstakingly did. So unfortunately, there's not a really easy way, especially if you're using a laptop, because there's no easy way to scroll. But if you can do this on a desktop where you can actually scroll with a mouse, or you can zoom out, whatever works best. I've never actually used that functionality before. So you will need to highlight everything, Control-C or Command-C, or just however you copy. And when you go to your new board, when you go to page loadout, you can paste it in, and you'll see we've actually copied all of the functionality over. So now here's a couple of things that you're going to need to make sure that you do. First and foremost, now that you've copied your page loadout functionality, you're going to need to make sure that you have all of the correct page variables. The next thing is, as I said before, since we've copied over something that uses this output of another node, all of these are now broken. So when I click assigned value, if we view this as a formula, you'll see it's in red right now because it doesn't have get record. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to choose the output of another node and choose the correct option from the drop-down. So this is what we've done basically in this video. And then get record, this page variable, and this page variable all use output of another node. So you'll need to update those to the correct value. And then, unfortunately, you'll need to do the same for all 31 of these variables because they all use output of another node, so you will need to update this. Good news is, if you set the first page variable to posted 1, if you choose the correct output of another node, as I showed you before, and we do get record, if you find chat1, for example, you can actually click here and click formula, and you can copy this, paste it into the next one, and just put chat2, chat3, chat4, chat5, etc., and it will work. But again, you have to make sure that you have all of these page variables. If you see any errors, it's likely because you're missing some of the page variables. And then once you've added in all of your page variables, you've set your page layout so that it loads correctly, you just need to go through here and check and make sure that all of these are loading correctly. For example, this one shows incorrectly because I don't have a page variable for posted 1. So if I go add 1, I can see if it will now work. So if I click this, it's no longer red. So you'll need to go through and just kind of spot check and make sure everything works. Make sure that you have your page variable for category number, post content, image URL or page image, picture to update, which is picture number here, and that you have a page variable for all of these options. And then the last thing that you need to do is you'll notice we don't have our post button. So you will need to go over and grab your post button from your first page. So we will go to board 1. We will grab this post button and hit Control-C. And then we will go to board 2A. And you can paste in the post button at the bottom. And then you're going to need to finally just update all of this and make sure everything works. The good news is, for these, they're not using an output of another node. So as long as you have all of these page variables already added, it shouldn't break anything and there's no additional work outside of one thing. This is very important. If you copy your post button over, make sure you remember this HTTP request and then this HTTP request. Both of these need to be updated. So this HTTP request, you need to change it to chat2. And then you need to make sure you have the pageVars page variable for URL. Then you need to go over here, choose this one, and update this to chat2. And then make sure you have the page variable for URL. And then everything will work. If you don't do this, then it's going to continue posting in page 2 for everything in page 1. So you'll need to copy this. Now that you have your second board page, you'll basically be all set. So you can copy all of these steps and do it for board 2 and board 3. Now, make sure if you have any issues, you go back through, again, this 3-part portion of the series. It should answer any questions you have. And then finally, to wrap things up here, we're just going to go to our boards page. And all you really need to do at this point is make sure on this page here that you have everything set up correctly. So if you followed along with the series, all of this logic should be here. And really all that's left is to make sure each of these buttons is connected to the 3 board pages that we've just made, and then go through and actually test the app out, make sure that making posts and making content works as expected. And then that's really everything for this app itself. If you have any questions about this series, you feel free to drop them in the comment box below. Another thing to note is over on the Codeless Fix website, there's a forum that I've made. You can post questions there, and you can also, again, post in the comment box below. Now, the next video to wrap up this series is to go over high-level basics of how to export this application, and then we will be all set. Now, final note here, you're going to be managing your own data in your own security. When it comes to performance, the only tip I can give you is on any page that actually shows data. So, for example, rating 1 to 5. If we check the variables on this page, and I'll go over this in the last video, but you're going to notice we have our variable for the page, and it's reloading every time this delay triggers, so every 5,000 milliseconds. This may seem like a small number, but you're going to be fetching data if a user leaves their page open, which runs up the Firebase, the API calls. So nothing to worry about now. Go ahead, take a break, and just kind of be happy that you've finished out this application, and then I'll see you in the next and final video of the series to do the export process.